Hello and welcome back to a new episode of Grand Tactician The Civil War, where we are playing the Union campaign mode. The last episode we got our first taste of combat and were defeated in the Battle of Alexandria. Currently our forces are trying to regroup behind Washington, and seemingly the entire Confederate army is right in front of our doorstep. But this leaves an interesting opportunity for Union forces further to the northwest. The town of Winchester, and with this the door to the Shenandoah Valley, seems to be undefended, and if our forces exploit this weakness we could cut deep into the Confederate supply lines. Unfortunately we will not be able to assist in those attacks if they materialize, as right now we first need to get our soldiers out of this situation and need to regroup. And we can see that we have made it behind our own lines. We now have the option to rest, and let's hope that our forces are going to be on the counterattack very soon. And our first action has been completed. We have taken an oath of loyalty, and that has increased our reputation a lot. As you can see, we are not getting seen as a contrarian anymore, and we now have the option to decide for another action, and right now I think it would be a wise decision to throw a party. This will increase our prestige. The more prestige we have, the quicker we can be promoted, and the more strings we can pull to, for example, secure better weapons for our soldiers. Within our headquarters, I think it would be a wise decision to finally get a second in command. And I'm going to choose Lieutenant Colonel Augustus E. Chatelain. For our quartermaster, I'm going to choose Lieutenant William H.L. Wallace. With this, our unit should be in good hands. In the north, we can see that the 1st Division and the Department of the Pennsylvania as a whole are on the move, and they're trying to cut off the enemy supply line around Manassas. And we have received news that there was a massive disaster at Hampton. The Department of Virginia is fleeing in a panic. And we have successfully taken the enemy supply hub. Supply for our enemy should now be a lot harder. But unfortunately the 1st Division is getting attacked and they do not have any support. Because the Department of Pennsylvania was all alone, there is now a massive disaster at Manassas Bridge and they have to fall back. Luckily for them, it appears that they are able to slip by the rebel forces, and we have received news about the victory at Philippi. Around Philippi we can see that Porterfield's division only has 1400 men left, so the army of the occupation should have an easy time dealing with them and to press into West Virginia. On our side of the front line, the supply depot is almost ready and the 5th Division is about to attack Lee's division. Let's hope that those forces are not going to be left alone, so that we can drive those rebels back all the way to Richmond. Our own division is unfortunately still not able to deploy, and we are unable to face combat. Lee's division is in contact and the army of the Shenandoah are coming up, but the 4th Division and the Department of Washington is also in the field. Let's hope we will achieve our first victory here. Currently it looks like that the Confederates are winning once more. We have taken massive casualties, we've lost over 800 soldiers, while the Confederates have only lost 600 men. And our forces were repelled once more. There was another disaster at Alexandria and the Department of Washington is fleeing. This is not a good start for this war, but I'm sure we can come back. Up north, the 2nd Division of the Department of Pennsylvania is trying again to capture this supply hub. They have 13,500 soldiers in total, but due to attrition they only have 12,600 soldiers operational at the moment. I was hoping that they have more support, because if we are not there to help them, they will be repelled, as the army of the Potomac alone outnumbers them. And the Confederates are so kind to build mills in our backyard. Once we cross this river, we are able to capture those mills for ourselves. And there the 2nd Division is under attack and they're all alone. Over here the complete front line was abandoned, but none of the generals have given orders yet to move forward. Meaning that our forces are once again getting repelled at Manassas Railroad Junction. And when we take a look on our national strategy, we can see that our national morale and support are now wavering. The morale of the armies is also a lot higher for the Confederacy, even though we have a lot more soldiers in the field. Let's hope that this war is going to turn around quickly. And there are more bad news for our cause. The Choctaws and the Chickasaw have allied with the Confederate States and have ratified a treaty. Apparently they have promised them that their lands will never be sold and that they're going to be in perpetual peace and friendship. This of course is nothing but a lie from the rebels, but if we have to face more enemies, we of course will face them. And the Confederacy calls for volunteers with a 2-year contract. The Congress has sanctioned further enlistment and the states are now forming new regiments. We are soon going to face a whole lot more of enemies. And there's a little thing that I had to come clean about. So far our religious beliefs have been seen as outrageous, and I thought let's give the Jesus guy the benefit of the doubt. So I've wrote home and my family has agreed to send our family Bible all the way over the pond. And we have definitely not just taken it from a fallen comrade. It's weird that you're even suggesting it. By now, as we have walked through the camp a couple times with this book in our hand, we are not seen as outrageous anymore. We are now seen as secular. And the people have noticed our personality changing recently. We are not a religious person and don't care too much for the church and its teaching. As religion, or at least appearing religious, is important to many in today's society, some people will find it hard to trust you. Well, they will find it easier than before. So let's use some of this trust to go on a little fundraising tour. For the low price of 200 prestige, we can make $500. And we are finally on the move again. Thank goodness. We are going to be in the 2nd wave, as some of our forces have already crossed. And we are soon going to be in contact with the enemy once more. We are marching westwards. And 2 of our divisions are already in contact with the enemy. We are going to arrive on the battlefield in about 12 hours. Hopefully before the rest of the Confederate forces can arrive. Let's get into battle. My friends, today is July 23rd, 1861. Our scouts report the enemy is near Fairfax, Virginia, and our army is to prepare for battle. We are facing the Army of the Potomac under command of PGT Beauregard with strength of some 17,000 men and 33 guns. The enemy army is green and the morale is reported to be determined. Reports indicate their supply situation is outstanding. The supply state of our army is outstanding. Our forces are currently deploying around Centralville while the majority of our force is already present on the battlefield. But it appears we are also going to get further reinforcements. Our objective is the crossroad around Warrington Turnpike. Let us find out if we can defeat the rebels this time. Our forces are going to use the roads whenever possible and we are going to deploy behind our main line. For now, all of our forces are rushing forward. And over here the Confederate forces are coming up. Currently it looks like we are going to be in for a minor defeat. Let's just hope that this will not happen. Artillery is opening up and we can see the Confederates marching up in group columns over the river. We have a strong defensive line around this section. With more units marching up to our center. And we are now ordered further as a reserve. So let's make sure that we are going to build up this reserve on the fence line. There's our New Yorkers. Very good. And the first Confederate units are about to make contact with us. Man, please set up over here. Make sure that we are not going to be blobbed up. We do not want to block the field of fire of our allied forces. Come on, man. Hurry up. And if possible, I want skirmishers out in front of our own line. This detachment is going to be moving up over here to support these skirmishers, to buy us a little bit more time so that we can set up our defensive position. And while I like the defensive line to our left, I do not like the situation our center is currently in. We are ordered to engage, and we are getting our soldiers forward. The 1st Michigan is already falling back, together with the 4th Michigan. Milligan's detachment is going to buy us some time. 38th New York is almost in position. Come on, gentlemen, make sure that you reach your target. And it appears there's a little traffic jam over here. Our forces are, well, in theory, they should be able to get a couple volleys off on the Georgia artillery. Maybe. Let's hope that Scammond's detachment is going to hold up the 13th Georgia long enough to allow us to drive back those guns. We are now inflicting a couple casualties, but the field of fire of our main force is currently blocked. Let's hope that the commander of the 2nd Brigade is going to get out of the way and that our artillery is starting to set up. We are going to be the first line of defense, as it seems, as right now over here nothing is really prepared. We have a lot of forces over on this section, but I hope that we can hold them off a lot effectively. We have of course 2 casualties among the Georgia battery, and more Confederate forces are marching up. The 1st Vermont is currently holding off the Confederate attack. Come on, General. You're blocking our field of fire. Our skirmishers are now under fire and they're going to fall back very soon. But every dead Confederate gunner is a good Confederate gunner. Yes, we have inflicted a couple more casualties. Let's, if possible, recall our skirmishers for now, before they break completely. Our skirmishers have lost 9 men and they have inflicted at least 2 casualties on the artillery and possibly a little bit more on the 13th Georgia. We are unable to fire from this position. I want our New Yorkers to reposition. But it looks like that these artillery pieces are going to take... No, they're not going to take a position to our side. Therefore, I'm going to move these men further to the right. Come on, man, hurry up. With this, we should have a good field of fire on this section once the 13th Massachusetts is falling back. And we should have, and the artillery should have the option to shoot on the enemy. They have 12-pounder field guns and their canister is going to be absolutely devastating for our foes. More Confederate forces are currently arriving. A large amount of them are going to be held back over here for now. And our own side is right now not receiving any more reinforcements. I'm not satisfied how this battle is looking right now. But let's just hope that everything is going to come together shortly. Our soldiers are set to fire on long range. And I'm going to speed up time for the moment. Over on our right flank, Stokes' detachment is falling back. 1st Vermont is still holding off the enemy valiantly. They suffered 23 casualties. And the 3rd Tennessee is taking a lot more. 1st Tennessee is now opening up fire. And looks like the 2nd US artillery should be able to hit their flank. Bruce's detachment is in battle, and soon the 31st New York is going to have contact. I would like to be more aggressive, but with only 1 regiment under my command, I don't think that I have the best option to do that. Let's get our skirmishers out again though. If possible, we are going to support the attack on the enemy cavalry in South Carolina. Very good, our soldiers are opening up, but we can see that the 14th Georgia is now pressing our lines heavily. Our skirmishers, if they can, open up on the 14th Georgia. How is the overall situation looking like? No one is trying to flank anyone. That's at least something that speaks for our defensive position. And our own skirmishers are going to be driven away. In a heartbeat. They've suffered 8 casualties from the 1st South Carolina. But the 13th Massachusetts is only needed to reshift and they can open fire. So far we have taken 17 casualties. Our morale is still looking good, and I guess the plan of our high command is to delay the enemy and let them tire out. Unfortunately, this allows the Confederates to group up even more. We have Staples' detachment coming up, together with Bildwell's detachment. Over here, more detachments are guarding this road. The 14-pounder James with the 2nd US artillery with their 14-pounder James are opening up on the battlefield. Opening up on the enemy, I'm assuming on the 9th South Carolina or the 1st South Carolina. And over here the 16th Georgia is starting to take casualties. It is only a matter of time before the 1st Vermont has to fall back, and Bidwell's detachment can also only do so much. I would love if our soldiers would fall back and get into cover. Yes, there's the cavalry falling back. Come on, man, use the fence line. If we let them get a little bit closer, we can completely flank them over on this section and stop them in front of our defenses. And I have the feeling that the main fight is going to start very soon. We are about to be in range. The 1st Maryland is about to reach our lines and the 13th Virginia is about to follow. Yes, we are almost in range. 1st South Carolina is coming up. They have their flanks exposed. But of course we have someone blocking our field of fire. And with this we have lost the 2nd artillery. But these cavalrymen should suffer horribly for this. And we are now ordered to engage at will. Very good. The 1st South Carolina cavalry is now finally falling back. And if we had more control over the battlefield, I would order them to get those cannons. 13th Virginia is here and they're now falling back as well. We have the 16th Georgia coming up and we have the 9th South Carolina coming up. Currently the 13th Massachusetts is blocking our field of fire. And I think it is time to slow down time a little bit. The enemy is attacking our left flank. We have a large amount of forces over here standing idle. And if only our field of fire would be open up with this unit marching a little bit to our right, we would have the option to engage the enemy very soon. I'm tempted to spend some of our prestige to get command of this unit, but I also do not want to have any more bad blood under the officers than necessary. Over here Davies' detachment is coming up. And as the situation stands right now, I want our detachment out as well. And I wanted to take position over here. With that we might be able to get on a flanking position. But only of course if they start to move and do not block the field of fire of our friendly units. Come on man, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Over here we are pinning them down. Multiple of the enemy units are outflanked. Very good. Well, this is exactly what I want to see. Do our skirmishers have the range on the 1st Maryland? Well, they have to get forward quite a bit. Let's hope they're not getting picked off by the 9th South Carolina. But this should maybe allow us to drive a bulk of the enemy forces back with concentrated fire from these forces and from the 13th Massachusetts. The majority of the Confederate forces are on the field. I do not know if they're going to receive any more reinforcements. The turnpike is now under threat of being lost. But we have bound a large amount of the enemy forces. Many forces are still held up in the rear and they are not engaging us directly. Let's hope that the situation stays the way it is, then we might have the option to bleed the enemy dry. Our detachment is taking some fire. We have the superior range thanks to the better training of our detachments. And therefore I'm going to order them to fall back a couple steps, make a fighting retreat, to make sure that they're not going to get picked off by the 9th South Carolina. Or even worse, getting outflanked by the 13th Virginia cavalry. It is most unfortunate that we cannot take control of those artillery pieces. Everyone who gets too close to them will definitely get slaughtered. We have movement in the enemy rear. It looks like they're getting the next attack wave ready. Over here Stokes' detachment is about to fall back and our detachment also took a couple casualties and they're going to reunite with our main unit very soon. In total we have taken 80 casualties. and Eliza's detachment is falling back. It looked like they were trying to get control of the artillery. Over here we have more units of the enemy marching up, and the second US artillery appears to be lost. Our own soldiers are about able to open fire on the enemy, but we're still getting blocked. And I'm wondering if it would be wise to relocate our soldiers over on this position, or if we are blocking the field of fire of those artillery pieces. They have 6-pounder field guns, and they are going to be very important if the main attack starts. I want our main force to shift to make sure that we get the maximum protection and the maximum amount of fire that we can lay on the enemy. And now we have to wait the waiting, and now we have to play the waiting game until the rebel lines are getting into range. The 7th Virginia Cavalry is taking more and more casualties. They're up to 63 casualties, but they're still on the field, and they have forces coming up from Tennessee to support. But we have forces on their flank. Madigan's detachment is taking casualties and are falling back. We have more soldiers behind the main line. So I hope that I do not have to get our soldiers over. 13th Massachusetts is fighting very well. And I wish we would finally have the option to open up on the enemy. But our field of fire is still blocked. It is a wonder that these soldiers are still on the battlefield. They have only 206 soldiers. They took 100 man casualty. And over here we have the 3rd Tennessee opening up on the 6th Maine. Very good. This unit is now routed, and the 24-pounder howitzers of the 1st US artillery should be able to do massive damage on our enemy. Over here we have some bad news. The 14th Massachusetts is taking more and more casualties, and they appear to be wavering. But also do not want to abandon our position on the front line. But the enemy is too close. We cannot deploy skirmishers, otherwise I would like to send them around and on this position to give a little bit of fire support. A quick look on the casualty list reveals that the Confederates so far have suffered over 1,500 casualties, while we took 989 casualties. Meaning that the Confederates have lost 5% of their force already, while we suffered about 3% casualties. Let's hope that these numbers are going to climb for our enemies ever quicker, and that we are able to hold our control of Warrington Turnpike. We have forces now coming through the woods, and our center is in deep trouble. I want all soldiers to take better positions over here, but wait a second. I do not want our soldiers to use roads. I want them to fall back and then get in position. I do not want them to expose their flanks. Otherwise, this will result in unnecessary casualties. Of course, we are marching straight out of the line. Man, what are you doing? Fall back, fall back, fall back, fall back, fall back, fall back, fall back. We are now taking absolutely unnecessary casualties. Come on, fall back. This is not what I ordered you to do. We can see that the 13th Massachusetts is now also wavering. Let's get back on our previous ground. It does not look like we have the option to support our center. Let's hope that with the massive amount of reserves that we have, we are able to hold them back. With this slight movement, we have suffered 42 casualties. We are apparently under flanking fire. This must have been as we retreated. And the 13th Maine is now on our breastworks. Can we get our men to move up over on this position? And that quickly. I have to say that I'm not the greatest fan of this movement. And of course, as soon as we move, our front line crumbles directly. Let's cancel our last order and get back on this trench line. I should have never moved my soldiers. They were perfect where they were. Come on now, get up there, get up there. Let's hope that we do not block anyone's field of fire. The 1st Cavalry does not have the sufficient range, and the artillery is still able to shell the enemy. Very good. We are getting outflanked, and apparently we are not using the trench line, even though I specifically ordered to use it. Come on, man, wheel up. We're up to 50 casualties. Our morale is still stable. Come on, man, open fire. We cannot allow the enemy to defeat us once more. We are dealing a lot more casualties, but our reserves are not coming into battle, allowing the enemy to take ever more control of the battlefield. We only have 1 unit under command, and this of course makes our impact fairly hard to calculate. Over here we have the 1st Virginia Cavalry coming up again. And it looks like they're going to charge down the 14th Massachusetts. Come on, man, on your feet. Our morale is now starting to take hits as well. Commander, can you rally your forces? The enemy is taking casualties, we just need to hold our ground. We are under artillery fire and we have routed units nearby that is also starting to affect us. We have a large amount of forces over here. We should be able to drive the 1st Virginia out. As long as we hold this fence line, we might be able to push the enemy back. All we need is those units to march up. Come on, generals, gave the order. The majority of our forces are now engaged, and the rebels still have many forces behind. Our unit now broke, we are falling back, and it doesn't look like that we are going to go on the counterattack soon. Come on, man, rally. I'm going to order our soldiers to fall back for the moment so that we can recover. And let's hope that this is not going to end in a defeat, as this attack was looking so promising. Come on, man, rally, rally. Yes, there goes our center. It looks like this has caused a mass panic. We still have forces over here fighting and regrouping. But it doesn't look like we actually have the option to counterattack. For now I'm going to speed up. Let's find out if our soldiers can recover and join the fight once more. These men are also falling back, even though they have not taken a single casualty. Come on, man, get back onto the field. We've taken almost 100 casualties in this fight, and we are now losing control of Warrington Turnpike. Well, these artillery pieces are now also abandoning their position. Yes, now the Confederates have officially taken Warrington Turnpike. There are multiple units lumped up over here. We could, in theory, muster a counterattack. But I don't think that this is going to happen anytime soon. These soldiers are also standing idle over here. They have not apparently fired a single shot. They are completely fresh, but our own men are unable to join the fight once more. Colonel John Hanford is in front of his own forces. This is not the best outlook. The same goes for the commanders of the Department of Washington and of the 5th and 3rd Brigade. And it looks like they took some casualties. And more of our soldiers are falling back, even though we had the perfect flanking opportunity. Our soldiers are now unstable, but that means that they're not completely broken anymore. Come on, man, let's get forward to this fence line. Maybe we can do at least something to drive the enemy back. These forces are falling back, very good. Maybe this will turn the fight around. Commander, just continue to rally your soldiers. Very good, very good. There is the Confederate center falling, and more units of the enemy army are shifting to the right flank. Our men are still nervous. I'm wondering if we can send them all the way over here, or if this would be too much for them. The enemy is sending John's detachment forward. And I think I can get my men not forward as our forces are now falling back. We are going to cancel our order. Our men need to regain their composure. It is worth nothing if we rush them out now and be in front of the entire main line. Even if that means that we are giving up Warren's Turnpike. These enemy soldiers are about to reach our firing line. Let's get our men up front. Maybe we can drive them back. Come on, man, get over the fence and attack. Well, it looks like our soldiers are unwilling to participate in this Turkish shoot. And it looks like on our right flank more and more of our forces are breaking. Over here some soldiers are mustering up a brave counterattack, but they're absolutely outflanked and will soon be driven back. Yes, there they are falling back. Alright, we have those skirmishers falling back. Let's get our men on the move. And I have to admit that the control is sometimes a bit finicky. Come on, man, get forward. We need to get on those fence lines. You're able to open fire up on the flank of John's detachment. Let's do this quick, and then we can focus on the 13th Georgia. We are now in contact, we have opened fire, and yes, the enemy is starting to take casualties. On our left flank, our own side is getting driven back. Let's hope that we can finish off those skirmishes quickly, so that we can shift around. We are now taking a couple casualties, but our soldiers are still confident. However, we are now once again completely abandoned by our allies. Yes, and this is a point where we have to shift and run. Oh, we are now getting charged. Why are our skirmishers are trying to catch the artillery? This is not what I ordered. And we are now in a melee with an outflanked enemy, but of course we are now driven back as we are completely outnumbered. Our artillery is able to shoot on the enemy rear. That's something at least. But this detachment is not going to be able to hold this position for long. Can we limber up this artillery and get it back to our main line? If you can save those artillery pieces, this would be a godsend. Where's our main force? We have run all the way back down here. Commander, rally your soldiers again. And unfortunately, our detachment wasn't able to get those guns to safety. But I also cannot blame them. And this might be the end for our own fight, as now it appears that we're going to be completely broken. The Confederates still have a large amount of force in these forests, but we have the 18th New York on the counterattack. On our right flank we do not have the option to do much, and our center is still crumbling. Our soldiers are in a panicked state. We just need to keep them rallied and just hope that we can go on the counterattack once more. Let's take a look how the casualties have changed. And now the losses have risen to 3,000 for the Union and 3,100 for the Confederacy. Both of our armies have lost about 9% of their entire force. The day is about to come to a close. We now have 17 o'clock. And our general was willing to accept defeat. The Union suffered 2,400 infantry losses and 400 of our horsemen were killed or wounded, and we have lost 44 of our artillery pieces. In total, we suffered 3,044 casualties. The Confederates suffered 2,700 losses among their infantry and 430 losses among their cavalry, and in total 3,200 of their soldiers have been killed or wounded. And we have gained over 156 points of prestige in this fight. It is most unfortunate that we have been defeated at Fairfax and that the Department of Washington is now in retreat. Lieutenant Colonel Jones loses face. I had high hopes for this battle, but I don't think that I had the option to do a lot more with our one regiment. But surprisingly, even though we were defeated and some of our forces are on the retreat, it looks like we are able to hold this position around Alexandria, meaning that we were able to recover a lot of lost ground. As one of the final actions for this episode, I've decided it would be a good thing to finally give our officer a weapon, and I've decided to spend $100 on a dragoon sword. Now we can actually defend ourselves if the enemy gets too close. And when we take a look on the front line, we can see that we only hold a slight sliver of Confederate land over on our northeastern border. To the northwest we hold significantly more ground, but unfortunately the only Union forces in the area are held up at Cumberland and at Uniontown. The majority of our forces are centered around Washington DC, and we are still unable to deliver the killing blow to our enemies. For now we have fought in 2 battles and unfortunately suffered 2 defeats, but the 2nd Division of the Army of Northeastern Virginia is now starting to cross and to reinforce our positions. And with their 10 artillery pieces and 2,300 soldiers, we might be able to turn the tide and drive away the rebels to Richmond. We have made some progress in this episode, but this is going to be it for now. I hope you've enjoyed it, and until we meet again, I wish you all a great time.